Remember in the movie Mallrats when they give the guy from Walking Dead the stink palm?
Yeah. Michael Rooker.
Yeah, that's right. Michael
Rooker.
When Jason Lee gave Michael Rooker the stink palm. Well, it kind of happened to me the other day. I didn't realize it. I did it to myself.
What?
I'm not going to go into details, but it's not nice.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad I got that in your head now.
You like a chocolate covered pretzel?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. It's a long story. I'm not getting into it, like I said.
Nope. I'm cutting you off right there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it took us an hour to get to the point to where we're supposed to start the show.
Yes.
We'd organized to talk actually an hour ago. It's now at 8 o'clock. We wanted my time. It's now 9:07.
Yeah.
We're professional.
I'm not wasting any more time, so I'm just going to say it. Was that it?
No. There is another.
Well, hello, boys and girls. My name is Kevin, and we actually have all three of the unwise men together again.
Yes.
Lance and James are both here, so welcome, guys.
Thank you so much.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back,
Yeah,
man.
it's definitely really good to have you back. Missed your ugly mug.
Yeah. Yeah. Or floor, as the case may be.
Yeah, as it was.
Say, we missed staring at your floor for a while, too.
You missed my carpeting.
We're learning how to use James's Microsoft Surface on the fly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a good time.
We had an interesting view of his floor and the heating arrangements that he has there at his place because
the extremely nice shag carpeting, which is just it's a little bit darker than tan, but not as brown as brown. So it's kind of that, middle ground. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
My first apartment had serious green shag carpet. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh, no.
It was bad. It was bad. And I was 19, 20, so I didn't give a shit what the carpet looked like. It wasn't home. So I'm like, yeah, everybody will think it's funny that I have green shag carpet. And it was funny until we set it on fire, and then it wasn't quite as funny.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
That sounds like a party foul.
There was a lot of alcohol involved, and someone, more than one of us, probably had a lighter in her pocket, and things happened. Yeah, let's just say that deposit didn't come back to me when we got the hell out of there.
No.
All right.
So Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, let's get into some of this because there was last week we were talking about the Millennium Falcon ride more than anything else. That was what the Barron's website, the financial website that we were talking about last week. They had a whole story. They had a whole story about. I don't know how to do that, Lance.
You don't have the knobs on your.
Oh, I got knobs.
Yeah, just turn your bass up from your mic input.
There's no bass.
Yeah, there's going to be a high, mid, and low.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better. You sounded like you were talking through a 1920s record player.
More or less?
No, that's good right there. That's good right there. That's good right there.
Leave it there.
Okay, good. Take two.
All right. Yeah, whatever. So, oh my God, it's going to be an 8-hour show. We're going to get 40 minutes out of it. Yay, editing. So, all right, I'll start again. Last week, we were talking about the Millennium Falcon ride at Galaxy's Edge. The Barron's financial website had gone on a tour, a walkthrough, and a lot of the information came out about the Falcon ride. Well, not to be outdone, this week, the other ride that is going to be in Galaxy's Edge is called Rise of the Resistance. Mm-hmm. And this is this is a dark ride that a lot like I'm trying to think of how to explain. Like you know what a dark ride is, like
kind of like Space Mountain kind of thing,
Caribbean or haunted mansion, stuff like that.
Yeah,
right.
They load everybody into cars, and there's like a little droid in the front of it that drives people around. And so I wanted to. The headline that grabbed everybody was the ride is rumored to be a 28-minute experience.
Wow.
And everybody was like, that's insane. There's no way, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out they use the terminology correct, but everybody was thinking I'm going to be on a ride for 28 minutes, and that's not the case. The 28-minute experience starts when you get in line.
Oh.
So as with the Flight of the Falcon, it sounds like the line queue for this one is going to be completely indoors, again, to hide the queue and keep the aesthetic of the illusion
that you're walking through the market.
Right, that you're in Black Spire.
Wow. That's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, Rise of the Resistance, they have, let me start where... Okay, so the ride will have close to 300 or more animatronic figures and droids. 50 to 100 of which are expected to be stormtroopers. There's 18 different show scenes involving 5 different ride systems. That along with your time in line, the like line queue experience. That again, I'll use Haunted Mansion as an example. You go through Haunted Mansion and you get to the stretching room. Where the paintings stretch or whatever.
Yeah.
That's part of the ride experience, even though they're just entertaining you while you're in line, basically.
Right.
So the ride, it's a trackless ride, so it's not on one single track like most of the other dark rides. And the ride itself will probably only be 5 or 6 minutes. But what happens is you get recruited by the Resistance to go on a mission to help stop the First Order. Batu tourists, which, as we know, Batu is the planet that Galaxy's Edge is set on, they will enter a ride through a blue-striped Resistance transport ship near the Resistance compound on the west side of Black Spire Outpost. So this is basically going to be on kind of the opposite side. They're basically bookending Galaxy's Edge with the 2 rides. After entering the ship, the doors close and the shuttle will launch into space. Guests will feel the space travel and see outside the windows as Batu becomes a distant memory. So it'll look like you're flying away from Batu.
Yeah.
But on your journey, you're captured. Your ship is captured by the First Order and forced to land on a Star Destroyer. That's where most of the ride is going to take place.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. After the ship lands on the Star Destroyer, guests will exit through the same door they walked in, although it won't look like the same door they walked in because it's actually one of the features of the ride is it's one of the floors is a huge turntable. So they're able to turn it around so it looks like, you're going out the same door you came in, but it looks like a different setting. So it looks like it's much larger than it is.
That's kind of cool. So it's basically like you walk in, and then after you walk in and get on the ride, the room kind of rotates like 90 degrees, and it has the siding kind of hides the fact that the door is the same door.
Yeah, it definitely disorients you enough to where you think you're seeing a new spot in the ride.
That's ingenious. It's almost this whole place is just tripping me out.
They've outdone themselves with this one.
No, I have one drawback. The one fatal flaw that I have, it's basically the vent port of this entire experience. There are people that really love the dark side and the Empire, and to be able to be on the Empire side should be something that they should give, like the dark side ride or a path to the dark side, something.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. Well, it's Disney. They're not going to make you be the bad guy.
I mean, it could give you the chance to become a Sith Lord, I mean, where else could you get this? But now we're getting resistance. Who's
to say they're not going to do something like that as as interactive as walking through all this is going to be? You go into different places and collect things on an app or something, and you end up, who knows?
Yeah.
So once you get into the Star Destroyer and you exit through the same door that you walked in, you find yourself in one of the huge Star Destroyer hangars, complete with squads of training stormtroopers, full-size TIE fighters, And a gigantic picturesque view out of space, including a look at the rest of the First Order fleet.
That is going to be amazing.
I'm only halfway through the ride, dude. It's nuts.
Oh,
well, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
What basically happens then is that's where the turntable works out, and you travel through in cars of looks like two rows of 4 people. So there's 8 people per car, and for most of the ride, 2 cars will travel together. So there'll be like 16 people together for the most part. The cars will split off eventually, but and then this is where they were talking about you're being recruited by the Resistance, and it's not a line queue, it's more of an experience, like we were talking about.
They'll probably have actors going up and down the line, interacting with the people there.
Oh yeah. From there, you'll be loaded into the trackless First Order transport vehicles that we've seen in the concept art with the droid sitting on the front of it. You guys seen that? The First Order droid drives the vehicle in the front. The vehicles travel in pairs, so you experience the ride with a paired vehicle. The vehicle is sent out of the room for processing by the First Order and into a room featuring a catwalk, which from above you will see a rogue droid drive across this upper bridge and hack the First Order mainframe, gaining control of the vehicles that you're riding in. So it's the Resistance droid hacking into the vehicles that you're riding in. From there, you enter another large room. It takes you through like a narrow hallway and into what is supposedly the biggest section of the ride that has 2 6-story AT-ATs in it.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
They're full-size AT-AT walkers. Odd to me that it doesn't look like the walkers from Last Jedi. These look like
classic
Empire walker. Yeah. So maybe it's just the art that we've seen. I've not seen an actual photo of them, but I thought that was a little strange that they wouldn't have. I forget what they're called. Those ape-looking walkers.
Yeah, but if you remember back in the Force Awakens, they had regular walkers and scouts in that collection that was there. Those ones that were used on Crate, they were a specialty walker, a heavily armored walker.
Right. Well, the other thing about these walkers is really early on, Disney patented a couple different types of technologies to where they have figured out how to create something that looks like a laser blast as it fires through the air.
Are you
so
kidding?
These walkers start shooting at you. That's when the 2 vehicles become separated. They each go into their own elevator shaft on each side of the room. They're lifted 40 feet into the air to the second floor of the attraction. There's 2 floors of this ride.
Holy cow.
Still separated, the vehicles head down the hallway before meeting back up again. Towards the end of the ride, though, I thought was a really interesting part, too. They're calling it kind of like a mini Tower of Terror, is in that your vehicle will drop and rise fairly rapidly, like 10, 20 feet. You get that kind of sensation, and you'll see along the way, you'll see Kylo Ren, who gets mad and swings his lightsaber and like burns and gashes marks on the wall that they'll have set up and everything else. And so that's what makes up a 28-minute ride.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that 28-minute discussion gave me goosebumps from head to toe.
I'm telling you, man.
Dang.
I can't imagine. But here's the thing. I'm really curious to find out how many people they're going to be able to get through this thing hourly or daily. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it could be set up, kind of like where it goes into the next room. It's separated. So, 5-minute delay between each ride. So
you're definitely gonna have multiple cars going through.
Yeah. So if you think about it, if they get 16 people going every 5 minutes, that means they're getting 32 every 10 minutes going through the ride. So every hour,
that's not a lot.
But if you think
still not a lot.
times 6, so that's going to be 180 plus going an hour. Well, I guess that does truly make sense. And then that times, I think Disney's open, 12 hours a day, I think.
There has to be more going through than that, because I saw something like it was in the thousands for Flight of the Falcon per day or something like that. And that, there's multiple cockpits, obviously, in that one, but there's only 6 people per cockpit in that ride. So I don't know. Man, that's insane. I don't ever want to leave that place.
No. I think I'm going to be, when I go, I'm going to bring a tent. And I'm going to just find a little spot over by a fallen walker and just camp right between its legs.
Well, this ride sounds big enough. We could hide in there and they wouldn't find us for days. So
no kidding. Yeah. I say that's our challenge. We should do it.
Why is that old man on top of the AT-AT?
I'm chunking. Get away.
I get some type of utility maintenance uniform and just through the day walk around so everyone thinks I'm part of the ride.
Picking up recyclables.
Okay, so before we completely leave Galaxy's Edge for this week, it's coming over and over now the closer we get. The Disneyland one is opening the end of June from what we're hearing.
Yep.
So
wow.
And I was
last week,
I think they said it was going to be end of October or beginning of November for Disney World. So it's going to be about 6 months behind.
It's they said late fall, which I still believe is sometime in November, because I don't consider November fall, but the calendar does. So I think that's what they're playing to when they say late fall.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I will have missed it by 2 months.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can tell they're going to open the LA one first because that's the flagship. So they're going to be getting everybody going to Disneyland as much as possible, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Disney World actually does more business.
Oh, they're much larger.
Yeah, it's got a lot more stuff in the circle as well. It's not just Disney. You also got Paramount and everything else that's right there.
Yeah, Disneyland is more. It's still a vacation destination, but there's a lot more locals that go there on a regular basis than Disney World.
Oh, I know.
That's almost entirely vacationing people.
Yeah, I just saw Harley Quinn and Kevin Smith there a couple weeks ago. So, everybody from that area is going there.
Yeah.
So we talked about how the Flight of the Falcon ride was somewhat based around Hondo Anaka.
Yeah.
Getting on the Millennium Falcon. Well, they released the book that we talked about was Pirate's Price last week. That I think is telling partially the story of the ride. Well, I got the audiobook, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out Jim Cummings is the one reading the audiobook. So Hondo is reading me this story, and it's amazing. Here, let me see if I can play this clip.
Oh, yes.
Being pulled off isn't my idea of a good time. But I have to, please. Well, the woman sounded pretty desperate. She must have wanted those rubies for something very important. And where there is great desperation, there is also great opportunity.
Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah, it sounds really, really good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, I think Ashley Eckstein read the Ahsoka novel too. I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah. She did. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying attention to who when I pre-ordered this. I'm sure it said read by Jim Cummings. I just didn't realize it, but. When I downloaded the pre-order and it said read by, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. It's basically like a 5-hour Clone Wars episode.
No, that's really cool that they got him. It's the perfect voice to do it. It's just like you said, it's like getting Ashley Eckstein to be Ahsoka. You can't get anyone else to do these voices. And Ahsoka was a great book. I listened to that one. I think once I started it in the morning, I couldn't stop until I got home, and I got home and finished listening to the book and then went to bed.
Yeah. She's one of those characters I get through stuff about her pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
In the Age of the Republic special that Marvel just put out this week, there's, I think, 4, maybe 5 separate stories in it. It's kind of their first wrap up of the Age of the Republic series that they did. They did Dooku, they did Jango, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and then this special. Oh, I think they may have done a Darth Maul too.
Nice.
But the special has like an Asajj Ventress story. It has a Mace Windu story. It has a story with Jar Jar in it, which I absolutely loved. I was so happy. I was like, "Yay, Jar Jar!" He never gets it.
I saw your post on Twitter got liked by I think it was the artist, or the writer, one of the two.
Yeah. What is her name? Jody something. Jody Hauer. Jody Hauer wrote. She wrote the Django book. And she had at least one of the stories in the special is hers. I'm not entirely sure which one. And I think Luke Ross drew some of it too, because he drew Django as well. And I mean, his stuff's awesome. He did the Darth Maul miniseries a while back, and that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to say that's the end of the Star Wars talk, because it never is. But
no, it never is. I'm sure we'll be coming up to it again later too.
Of course.
So let's go into some of the movie news that happened this week. They're going to do Ghostbusters again.
That I think is the greatest idea. This is what they should have done instead of trying to reboot it. And I did like the last one. I did like it. I'm one of the rare breeds that actually enjoyed it. But only just because it was fun. It wasn't anywhere near the level of the originals. It was fun, but I would not consider it a classic. I saw it once, I enjoyed it, and I'm never going to see it again.
Well, this one, Jason Reitman is going to direct it, which is Ivan Reitman's son.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that connection. The teaser trailer was released. I'm not going to play it because there's literally no talking in it. It's just you see a barn off in the distance, and it's like lightning and things like that. And as you get closer to the barn, a tarp pulls up, and it's the back end of Ecto 1. And that was the only teaser that they did.
I think it's going to be perfect.
Yeah. So from what we're hearing, all of the surviving members of the original cast will appear in the film. So that gives you Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson.
Nice.
Obviously, Harold Ramis isn't going to make it to that one. But
yeah, I think what they're going to do is they'll probably do the same thing. They'll have, because the last one they had, I can't remember, I think it was a ghost based on Harold Ramis, as a tribute to him.
Yeah, there was something like that, and it would be cool if they did. It would mean more if it happened with Murray, Aykroyd, and Hudson.
Yeah, it definitely would. It definitely would.
But now, as far as from what I've read, I don't think they're going to be the main stars of this. I think it'll be slightly more than a cameo.
Yeah,
because they're talking about casting teenagers for some of these Ghostbusters, and nobody knows anything about the story yet, but it definitely sounds like it'll be the old maybe training the new.
Yeah, that's exactly what the last one was originally going to be. It was the passing of the torch to the next generation, which I think is totally cool.
Except for they tried to pass the torch to the Stay Puft Melissa McCarthy, and it didn't work.
But
Stay
Puft McCarthy.
Wow.
But the thing is that
I should throw the disclaimer in. I'm not body shaming her. She just has no talent.
Yeah.
True.
No, she does not have a lot as far as acting. I only like her, I think, in one or two movies. But anyway, and she seems to put out like 4 or 5 movies a year. I don't get how she does that.
It's because she only plays the belligerent sidekick, whoever she's actually starring with.
Yeah,
so,
well,
you don't have to prep her for a role. She just shows up looking like she rolled out from under a trailer.
Well, she's the American Nicole Kidman, is what she's ended up being. Nicole Kidman makes about 50 movies a year. I just don't understand it. I think it's really cool, though. I think it's really cool that they're finally going back to the original.
Yeah, at least somewhat.
Yeah, I like that.
I honestly think that once the other one came out, the guys who were all originally involved in this were like, we can't let this go out like this. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure they felt some type of obligation. Although Aykroyd, he was singing its praises when it was out, but I think that had more to do with him being an executive producer on it than him actually liking the movie.
Yeah, I mean, what they were trying to do is they were trying to get the original cast to laud about the movie as much as possible to get fans behind it more. but it just didn't work.
That only worked until people actually saw the movie.
It did.
And then they knew, which sucks because like 3 of the funniest women in entertainment today were in that movie.
Yeah, I loved it. I love the supporting cast.
I mean, that movie had a couple of moments, but you had to sit through a lot of stuff to get to those couple of moments.
It was super dry. It really was in a lot of spots.
Yeah.
The other thing that came out this week.
I'm sorry?
You saw the other thing that came out this last week, right?
Yes. This one almost slipped by me. I didn't see it right away. It's the first teaser. They're calling it a teaser, but it seems longer than what a teaser would be.
No, I'd say it's the first trailer. I would say trailer. It's the first trailer.
Yeah,
it is.
So let me play this real quick.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, sorry I'm late. Happy. You look nice.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. New dress?
Yes, it is. How'd you know?
What just happened?
Happy was macking on Aunt May. That's what just happened.
Yeah.
We're going to Europe. School trip.
Get your passport.
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
I love that.
Face?
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport.
I'm going to go on my trip with my friends. Europe doesn't really need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You look really pretty.
And therefore, I have value.
No, that's not
I'm
right.
messing with you. You look pretty too.
I just want to spend some time with MJ. I think she really likes you, dude. That reminds me when I first fell in love. I had just finished my food coffee.
So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
You're Nick Fury.
Put some clothes on. Let's go for a ride.
Is he going to be okay like that?
Might want to turn him over so he doesn't swallow his tongue.
I think Nick Fury just hijacked our summer vacation.
Awesome. You got gifts, Parker, but we have a job to do. Are you going to step up or not? You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble. What are you going to do about it?
You don't want any part of this.
Who is that guy?
He's like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
He's no Spider-Man.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
What, he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. What's up, dickwad?
God, I love that trailer. Oh, man. I can't explain. I got hair standing straight up on my body right now. My arms are just completely goosed.
That's a really good trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, so
now I have a question. I have a question about that. Did I miss something from the first movie? When did Aunt May learn he was Spider-Man?
At the end of the first movie.
Right at the very end.
Okay.
She's standing at the door, and he's like taking the suit off, and you hear her say, "What the?" And then the end credits start. Right at the end.
Okay.
I mean, it's literally the last scene of the movie. Yeah. Well, besides the post-credit. But this is going to be such a great movie because I love what I'm seeing in this. First of all, we have Mysterio, the first time he's ever been in a live action. And like Kevin Smith says, you barely even get him in animated form other than, really bad, like the Spider-Man cartoon series from the 90s or even from the 70s. So getting him into a live action movie was a big step for them. And then to bring in the costume, the way that they're accurately reflecting it. A little bit of changes here and there. They got it up a little bit, but they kept all the major important parts. And when you see the fishbowl head flying around, what I'll talk about here in a second, It's just an unbelievable scene. It is just unbelievable.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going to be teaming up at least for some part of this movie.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
It's the elementals that are. It looks like what they're fighting.
Yeah, because you definitely do see Sandman. You do see Hydro Man. So I don't know, and it might not be Sandman. That might be Mysterio himself creating these as well. So he might be doing this to try and play himself off as a hero, but I don't know. And they got Jake Gyllenhaal. Is he gonna sign on to be a true villain?
If anybody could do it, I mean, that dude, I've not seen him in anything that I didn't like.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But the elementals, there's 4 immortal, extra-dimensional humanoids, is the way Marvel Wiki describes them.
Okay.
With powers over natural forces. So you have Hellfire, Hydron, Magnum, and Zypher.
Okay.
Each possessing the power over fire, water, earth, and air. So probably not Sandman. It just really looked like Sandman because one of them has power over the earth. But so according
it's going to be a really big thing because is it that or is it going to be Hydro Man? It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it says. According to lore, they ruled a kingdom on Earth before the rise of Atlantis and were banished to another dimension when they tried to conquer Egypt. They eventually make their way back to modern Earth and frequently lock horns with Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So they are... I guess she battles them quite a bit in the comics. I will be the first to admit I do not read. I'm not well read on Captain Marvel.
I've started, and I actually love the comics. The comics are fantastic. But we were hitting on that because it does mention that the Elementals team up with Captain Marvel, but we also have Hydro Man here, and I'm looking at this.
Not team up; they fight one.
Well, that's what I mean. I meant team up. You know, that they come together. Okay, you know what I mean. But we also have Morris Bench, who plays Hydro Man, who is one of the members of the Sinister Six, which we know is also a movie about to be coming out. So are they going to be doing that, bringing something in that works across the board to Captain Marvel, or are they going to bring something in that works more with the Spider-Man and the Sinister Six from the movie that's going to be coming out here pretty soon?
I seriously think Sony has finally stumbled upon a formula that works for Spider-Man, and that was the animated movie that they just did. Everyone seemed to love it. It wasn't an emo Peter Parker dancing down the sidewalk, or it wasn't, throwing away villains. It was, everyone seemed to really enjoy it. So it wouldn't surprise me if they go more into the animated direction with their Spider-Man properties. I mean, I know they've tried to set up and hint at the Sinister Six in 3 different movies now. Let's see. It says, there was some mention that they could be basically reinventing Sandman, Molten Man, and Hydro Man. But I think like we were just reading about, the Elementals are established as who those guys are. Interesting to see how Mysterio comes into helping with all this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, unless it was something that he followed them to Earth, maybe, and the fight just continued while he was here. Who knows? But he doesn't seem like a character. Well, one, he doesn't have a British accent, and they're in Europe. But he doesn't strike me as someone who is from London and just decided to take up the fight. It definitely feels like this fight started elsewhere and ended up where they ended up, and that's how he comes in with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to see. Is it going to be the Elementals? Is it going to be this or that? It's going to be a great movie either way. I mean, they've already got at least $50 from me to watch it the first 4 times. So.
And more Nick Fury is never a bad thing.
3 films this year. 3 films he's going to be in this year. So he's going to be in the new Avengers. Well, we're hoping he's going to be somewhere in the new Avengers. He's going to be in Captain Marvel as young Fury, and then Spider-Man.
Yeah.
All right. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, can we speculate on when this takes place?
Well, It's after Endgame. It takes
Will it be
place
after Endgame?
After Endgame, obviously, because they have to reverse whatever the crap happened, because otherwise Spider-Man's not swinging around everywhere.
Yeah.
It comes out after Endgame, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Endgame comes. Spider-Man's in July. Endgame, I think, is May or April.
And then
April or May.
And then Marvel's in 50 days. So we got 6 months of this year. Every 2 months is a new Marvel movie.
There we go.
Endgame comes out the 26th
of March.
Okay.
Of April.
Oh, okay, April. Oh, it was March is Captain Marvel.
Yes, March 8th is Captain Marvel. So March, April, and July all have Marvel movies coming out.
Wow.
Disney is just sitting on a pile of money burning what they don't have room for at this point.
At this point, they could... They can't do any wrong.
Look at what's coming out this year. The 3 movies we just talked about.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4.
Mm-hmm. That's also July, I believe.
Frozen 2, which is going to make everybody insane. And they're going to have to drag their kids to see it 100 times.
Do you want to build another snowman?
No, no. I didn't want to build the first one, to be honest with you. I mean, I watched it. I watched it once, and I know this sounds stupid because I'm watching a Disney movie, but there was entirely too much singing in it for me.
I think
I
had tears a couple times. That's okay.
You should just be prepared for it.
Yeah. So, and then, to round out the year, they're doing a little independent movie called Episode 9 for Star Wars.
Yeah.
I heard it's a low budget film, so it should work.
Yeah. I mean, from what I read, it's a modest budget, but it should be okay.
6 massive movies.
Nothing too big. No.
So, yeah, that's... there might even be more than I'm missing. I mean, Dumbo. Dumbo comes out this year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Burton Dumbo.
I'm not a Tim Burton fan. I can't do it.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait for this one. The cast, they've got, they basically got the 89 Batman cast because they've got Tim Burton directing it. Michael Keaton's in it. Danny DeVito's in it.
No way.
I'm
Jack
looking
Nicholson?
forward to. I love Tim Burton. I like his take on things. I like the way his movies look.
I like some of his movies.
I really like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that he did. I love the original, but I like that one.
I'm okay.
Lance, you look like one. Lance looks like he got a poop.
I almost got sick. No, it's. I think he's kind of overdoing it. The whole Alice in Wonderland things, and then his love of Johnny Depp, which, by the way, in German, Depp means stupid, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, that kind of fits.
But Johnny Depp's not in Dumbo.
No, but he's in everything else, Tim Burton, ever since Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, quite a bit. All right, so here's what we're looking at for movies. I'll just go through these real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We had Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame. Shazam is April 5th.
That's right.
Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is in October. Yeah, I know. I don't know about that one.
No.
Let's see. The not live action but not 2D Lion King is this year.
Oh yeah. That I do want to see.
Aladdin comes out this year.
Want to see?
Don't get me started on that one.
Well, besides the whole Will Smith thing, I don't know.
He's not blue.
Yeah, he says he is.
He's not blue. Why?
He does. He says he is going to be blue. He did come out and say that he will be blue.
No,
fine. Okay, good.
He's not blue.
He's
not blue in any of those.
No, none of the pictures.
Do you think there would be? And I'm throwing this out there. Do you think? Well, everything is some type of social media backlash. But how bad would the backlash be that they cast a black actor and then make him a different color?
Aladdin star
burning itself to the ground over something.
As of December 19th. As of December 19th, Aladdin star Will Smith says his genie will be blue in the live action adaptation.
Okay, well then maybe we were just maybe the production, the pictures.
It's going to be it's going to be post, I believe,
pre CGI. Yeah, the It Chapter 2 comes out this year.
Good.
We get
the one of the last entries for Fox as far as their X-Men goes. That Dark Phoenix comes out.
Wow.
You have the third John Wick movie, Godzilla, King of Monsters, Hellboy, the second Lego movie, Men in Black International, which just looks like a dumpster fire.
I did kind of enjoy it. I'm going to give it because, Hemsworth is in it. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, but the trailer does make it look like a rehashing of the first movie. Girl finds the door to the MIB and becomes an agent. So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Zombieland is getting a sequel this year with that original cast back. That's one of my favorite zombie movies. So I was glad to see that they've been talking about doing a second one of those for a long time, and they finally got everybody to go on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think that looks like about it for the big ones. That Escape Room looks kind of interesting. That's a horror movie where people go into those escape rooms and try to find their way out, and apparently this one goes horror. Like it looked like it could be the new Saw franchise.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Wow.
Even though I don't like the Saw franchise, the escape room craze has really picked up in the last couple of years. This movie might actually be coming out right at the end of that craze, but it might kind of boost the craze back up a little bit. So I'm going to be interested in seeing the movie, but I'm not going to hold anything. It's just like Saw. I'm after the third one, I gave up. I never watched them.
Yeah.
If I wanted to see the same thing 9 times in a row, I just watched the original 9 times in a row.
Well, that takes us into what you wanted to talk about a little bit, Lance.
We got
I'd say about 80% of the movies I just read off are either sequels or remakes. So
yeah, well, I got a whole bunch. This is going to be kind of a new sequence. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be kind of doing a machine gun discussion about films that are getting remade. I'm going to call this Remix and Remade. These are all films that we loved and knew, and there's nothing small on my list. We could do this for weeks and weeks and weeks. The list of remakes and reboots is 153 movies long. So
yeah, let's just do one or two, and we'll talk about those. And we can do a couple each week.
Yeah, that's absolutely really cool. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to kind of just talk about it. So the first one I want to go into, these ones that I pulled are all classics in my mind. Let's go with Fletch 1. Fletch 1 is being written by David List. He's a brand new writer. He has 2 movies coming out. No IMDb under his name, and this is going to be either a reboot or a remake of the Fletch movies starring Chevy Chase from the 80s.
Okay, that's what I was getting ready to ask. They're remaking Fletch.
Yes, but this is not the first time that they tried this. Here's a little bit of a trivia. That Kevin Smith originally wanted to redo this movie as the next sequel. He was going to call it Son of Fletch. And it was going to star Jason Lee as Fletch's son and Chevy Chase as Fletch. But when Kevin Smith met up with Chevy Chase being who he is.
I'm shocked Kevin Smith wants to put Jason Lee in a movie. I can't believe that.
Wow.
But when Kevin Smith and Chevy Chase met, you know how Chevy Chase is, they clashed and Smith just said, screw this. The film fell apart and that was it.
So is there any word on Chevy Chase being a part of this?
There's all these movies that I'm listing right now. They have nobody in the works for the actors. I have the writers who are currently writing it right now. This does not mean that these movies will be made. Like I said, this is a guy right now. He's writing 2 movies, has nothing under his belt, doesn't even have an image on IMDb. So if this is true or not, I don't know. Now the question is, do we need a new Fletch movie?
Yeah, I'm giving that one big
no.
One big
no.
Yeah, that's the big question to me.
I'm saying no.
I got 2 more for this week. The next one is going to be Romancing the Stone.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Dan McDermott, the guy who wrote Angela's Eyes and Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf. You notice he's only had 2 movies under his belt, and both of them are called Angela's Eyes, and the other one is called Eagle Eye. Catching this? So this movie might actually be called Romancing the Eye.
Yeah.
So he has those 2 under him. So the question is, the first one I thought was the perfect movie. I absolutely love that movie. I don't see why we need to have a remake. It's just like the old King Solomon's Mines. Cheap, low budget Indiana Jones Romancing the Stone knockoff movie that just somehow worked with Sharon Stone and that other guy. It just worked. This one is the perfect movie. Danny DeVito, Kathleen Turner, and Michael Douglas. Beautiful movie. Doesn't need to be remade.
Yeah.
Oh,
No need.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, that's what I'm giving that review. I agree.
We need to get you a soundboard so that you can just click stuff on your soundboard.
I may make one.
You should.
Wow. And I can't use the bird.
No.
Use
WTF bird is forbidden.
Yeah.
It's only funny if we don't bleep it. So
Right.
And then the last one for the week. Let me choose. Let me choose which one I want to put on here this week. How about Heavy Metal? You remember the movie Heavy Metal with the cartoons?
Of course I do.
Beautiful animated movie that was meant for adults. It gave rise to the heavy metal magazines. Great movie. I love it. The stories make sense. The animation styles are above and beyond. The second movie blew chunks all over the ground and then died and then withered. And but the original one opened my eyes to the fact that good animation can be made for adults. Now we're looking at a remake, and the synopsis is it is a series of animated shorts inspired by the 1981 original. So
isn't that what Netflix just announced they were doing not all that long ago? They were doing some type of animation anthology.
They're doing it's more along the lines of kind of like a heavy metal style, but it's going to be animated, but it's going to be a lot more adult content. It's not heavy metal itself. It's going to be its own stories. And I think it's going to be really cool. But here's the big thing is that the original producer on this had originally wanted to remake this in 2013. And because nobody wanted to jump on it, he just kind of shelved it for a while until earlier this year, which we're only on day 19 of the year. So that's how quick this has happened. And that producer happens to be James Cameron.
Now I have even less interest in this.
Wow.
But the part that I don't understand is how can it have its animated shorts inspired by the 1981 original? Isn't that just basically reanimating the original movie?
They're tracers.
They're
tracing.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Tracer.
Wait till you hear some of the rest of these movies that are going to be on here.
Oh well, let me see what Smokey has to say. Yeah, that's what I thought he had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not in it. Not in it at all.
Oh, you're gonna poop in the pants when you hear the rest of these. I can give you a quick rundown on the rest of these. I'll make a new list for next week. So the rest of the list for this week was American Werewolf in London.
Wait, didn't you say there was 130 of these?
I'm not doing no.
Movies,
I just chose 9 of them for today. So I'm just gonna read down the rest of this list.
I was like, wake me up when it's over.
So American Werewolf in London is being written by John Landis. So it's in good hands. I don't think we need a new one. Dirty Dancing is getting redone again by the writer of Glee, Nip and Tuck, and American Horror Story, Brad Falchuk. No actors announced.
That's one I don't think they need, because I mean, if they update it to a modern time, you're already missing the point of Dirty Dancing, because even when that came out in 1989, I think.
Yes, 87, 88, 89, yeah.
And I shouldn't know that, but I do. It was set in what, the 50s or 60s?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It was in 50s, yeah. And one of those family retreats, yeah.
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 So I don't. If you update it for a modern time, nobody's going to get offended in 2019 by two people dancing
or somebody getting pregnant and getting an abortion. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't add up to remaking it for today. Now, if they go back to the 50s and 60s and redo it again, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to redoing that. But wait, there's more. How about Highlander?
Oh, they've made so many of those.
No, this is a reboot to the film. So, not the TV series or the other. They're rebooting the film, and this is going to be directed by the guy who did John Wick 1, 2, and 3. So this could actually work, but the original Highlander is still a classic.
And we've seen other movies like John Wick that just didn't work because they weren't John Wick.
Exactly.
I'm thinking of Atomic Blonde. I'm thinking of that. What was that one that Peppermint or whatever that one? I
haven't even seen that one yet.
Came out with Jennifer Gardner. In it. Not good. And it's all the everything went bad. And I have to get my revenge type of thing. And why the John Wick stuff works and the others don't, I don't know. Maybe I'm more prone to wanting to see somebody get killed for doing something to a dog instead of a human. So maybe that's why John Wick works.
Okay, next up on the list, Logan's Run.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean,
I could see that one.
Okay,
I could see that one maybe.
Okay, this is being written by the guy who wrote Rampage, the Rock movie Rampage, and then also
I'm pretty sure no one wrote that movie.
And then also wrote the Rock movie Hercules.
Oh my!
He's not a good pedigree.
No, and he's another one. I swear, there's like 20 different Dwayne Johnsons in Hollywood. They've cloned that man, and he is in every movie. And I honestly think they tested the cloning on Kevin Hart first, and once they perfected that, and he was in everything, then they went on to Dwayne Johnson.
Okay, here's the next one.
They've got them both in everything.
Okay, following the success of 12 Monkeys by Terry Gilliam as a TV show, they are now announcing a television series based on Time Bandits.
I'll watch that.
Okay, and
I'm serious.
I'll give you that.
I could do it. If as long as Gilliam is still in it, I think it could work.
If there's a chance, I could watch Paint Dry if I think there's a chance of it telling a time travel story. So I have no problem.
Then you're gonna love the last one on the list. You ready for this?
Oh no.
This is going to be a total remake written by Brian Gunn, the brother of James Gunn. Brian Gunn also wrote the Journey film. So Journey to the Center of the Earth. I can't remember what the very first one was. And then the third one.
That was the Will Ferrell one?
No. This is the Brendan Fraser one.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now you're really selling me on this already.
And then the third one is going to be the one that he's writing also as Journey 3 from Earth to the Moon. But he's also writing this movie, Time Cop.
The Van Damme one?
Yeah.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme time?
Oh, wow.
I mean,
again,
I think this one could work.
I'll watch. I'm a sucker for. I'll watch anything with time travel.
The thing that I don't really understand is that Brian Gunn almost has no credit for the Guardians movies at all, even though we know he helped write the movies with James. So as long as the two of them work together, I think they could accurately create a new Time Cop that could work. But that's it for the list. So yeah.
All right. Okay.
I think, man, we went a long time, still have some stuff to talk about. So maybe we'll save some of this for next week.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. No, we can. We can hit this last little bit right here. 2 bits on Netflix. Pardon me. Netflix is raising their rates.
This one didn't surprise me at all. They don't understand the concept of making money versus spending it. They just go, nobody's throwing more money around in entertainment than Netflix. At some point, the bubble is going to burst, and this, I think, is the beginning of it.
No, I don't think this is it. I think this is them finally understanding they are sitting on a gold mine and they can actually start requesting more money from it. I mean, some of the original content that's on there is absolutely fantastic. And I, for one, do not mind the extra $1 to $2 a month that it's going to cost. So if you have the $11 a month plan, it's going to jump up to $13. If you have the basic plan at $8, it's going to be $9. They're also going to have the 4K that will go for about $14 a month and up to $16. But that's for the people with 4K broadcasting.
Yeah.
The second thing that they also
the other thing the premium plan does is it allows you to have more screens being watched on the same account at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do that too. I do the 2-screen plan so I can watch something upstairs and wife downstairs. But the other thing they're doing is that for people that use Netflix on Apple TV is no longer going to be allowing Netflix users to get service through the iTunes payments.
You're sort of right.
Oh, wow.
If you have it already, you can still pay for it. But if your account lapses or you get a new account, you have to pay Netflix through Netflix.
Yeah, it's not assigned to your iTunes account as a monthly subscription.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like me. I pay for Netflix through my iTunes. So I get my subscription paid automatically through iTunes each month. But if I let that lapse at all, and then I have to repay for it, I have to turn it off on iTunes and then move straight over to Netflix and pay straight with them.
Is that really a big deal, though?
No, not really.
It's still coming out of somewhere in the same amount every month. So,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not that big.
I don't know. I'm talking about Netflix. I got through 9 or 10 episodes of The Punisher last night before I finally dropped it. I couldn't stay awake anymore. I was like, I'm done. I can't do it.
Worth it or not worth it? I'm guessing worth it if you watch 10.
Oh God, John Barathol was born to play Frank Castle.
Oh, of course he was. Yeah.
Every time. This one is really good. I like having Jigsaw as the villain.
I'm excited to see that.
It has a much more personal feel to the tension between the two of them.
Good.
And the fight scenes are as incredible as the other ones have been with, him in the prison, the whole, where they do the entire fight scene and it's like one shot. That's what that's what this one feels like too. It's just, you're right in the middle of the fight, that there aren't any noticeable cuts or editing in the fight. So yeah, I'll finish watching the rest of those. And I swear all of my shows came back from whatever breaks they were on last week or this week, all at the same time.
And you still complain about paying a little bit more for Netflix.
Oh no, I wasn't complaining. I'm just saying that at some point they have to do something to start recouping, the hundreds of millions. Like how much did they play to have Bird Box?
Oh, I can't even remember.
Netflix exclusive.
Yeah, but see, that's going to be one of those things. We're about to see exactly how it pays off for them, because I think Netflix has a couple runners up for Oscar contention this year, which is still a huge question mark on the entertainment industry because it is a streaming service.
It is, but as long as it had some type of limited theatrical run or release, it's eligible.
That's where we get to that issue again with Netflix, and we have that the Black Mirror episode, the science fiction one. I can't remember what it's called anymore. They're trying to get that in for Academy as well. And that is still considered a television show, but they dropped the black.
That would be Emmys, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they dropped the Black Mirror title on the episodes, and they just made it the episode names, and then basically that becomes a movie now. It's an anthology series. See, that's where we're getting into the real tricky points.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, because she was in that American Horror Story.
Yeah, and a couple reality shows back in the 90s.
Lady Gaga?
Yeah. She got her start in.
Really?
Yeah. She got her start on one of those like punk TV shows. That was her first time on TV.
Really?
And then later on, she had a bit part on something else where she played a singer and had a lightning bolt on the side of her face.
Wow.
Yeah, that was David Bowie. You're confusing Lady Gaga with David Bowie.
It can be done.
I mean, I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened, but I wanted to correct you.
That's true.
Wait, is that David? No, Lady Gaga.
No,
nope.
Lady Gaga.
All right.
So yeah, their shutout was a little. It was surprising. Because typically, anytime you have a movie or anything where there's singing involved, that's typically a dead giveaway of who's going to win an acting award, because they just seem to default to that.
That or a biopic. And if it's a biopic about a musician, forget it. They're going to win everything.
Yeah, forget it.
When are the Oscars? Do you guys know? When are the Oscars?
That's going to be in February. We should be getting actually some kind of a list out of the nominations here within the next week. I'm hoping that we can actually report on this hopefully in the next week or so, because we might have a couple shows or a couple movies that we love actually possibly on the nomination list.
Okay, so the awards are going to be on February 24th. They would have to be announcing the nominees relatively soon. 22nd, Tuesday the 22nd is the announcements.
Is when they'll announce it?
Yeah. So
okay, well, we'll find out.
Yep. So it's going to be this week that they're going to be doing it. So we should actually be able to sit down and talk about it next week.
Yeah, we can talk about it next week. I think that's going to do it. It was nice having all three of us back again.
Yes,
for sure. So
how you worded that? It's nice having all three of us back. But yeah, it's true. It just sounded a little.
How would you say that?
It's great having James back, or it's great that we're all three back together again, or something.
Don't make fun of my Ohio accent. All right, I can't help it. No, seriously, it was fun having James back. I'm glad that he got to jump into this one too.
Yeah. So nice being here.
The room's warmed up again.
We'll wrap this one up. You can catch us on Twitter and Facebook. There is another podcast, and there is another one on Twitter. There's another podcast.com has all the links for social media and to subscribe to the show. We're working on getting an updated page, so
hopefully next weekend it'll be done.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. We'll be able to do a lot of things on that. But till next week, for Lance and James, I'm Kevin, and have a good week.